All right, here we are. We are live. Welcome to Astro Geeks TV. I am your host, Karina Dean, and I am bringing on a very special friend and astrologer, Martel from DaddiLongLegzAstrology. Welcome.
Peace. How you doing?
We're doing great. I'm really excited to talk with you about this transit that not too many people are talking about. So, and I know that this is one of your passionate topics in astrology, which is Lilith.
Mm-hmm.
And this week, Lilith has just moved into Capricorn. So, I'd really like to go into how this energy is shifting for us. But first, for those who don't even, who aren't familiar with Lilith, could you give us some background on the knowledge and the energy about Lilith?
Okay. From what I understand, is Lilith was the first wife of Adam before Eve, and the whole story in a short version of it is basically they were having sex, and Lilith wanted to be on top, and this angered Adam, so God banished her out of the Garden of Eden, and it's supposed to represent overall, it's supposed to represent like how some things that are alluring can put you out of quote unquote paradise, or kind of put you in harm's way when you give into it. Like I always give the analogy of like, the cliche Indiana Jones scenes where like the explorer is in the cave and he sees like that amulet that he just has to grab, and like he walks towards it, it shakes, and it's like, all right, that should be a sign, but you just have to get it. And you grab it, and then the whole, temple just crumbles down on you. That's how I would describe Lilith.
Wow. Now, is this a planet? Is Lilith a planet, an asteroid? What exactly is Lilith?
From my understanding, there's like there's a few aspects of Lilith, most of which aren't actual positions. I mean, actual planets. What Lilith is like an epigee, so it's like the space between. They say it's the dark side of the moon, but technically there's no dark side of the moon. But
Right.
there's a space. Is the space between the ending of the moon, so the back of the moon, to the Earth of the Earth's orbit, and it's like almost its own orbit. It's like a phantom orbit.
Wow.
Yeah.
So a lot of the concepts of Lilith is like this dark goddess energy connected to the moon, right? Because it's like the shadow, or like you said, the space. It's like a space that we watch and kind of channel that energy. So how does it work as far as personally to us as individuals? Is it an energy that is more internal? Is it something that other people see? Is it?
It's especially like my experiences with it and just studying it. It's something that's very internal. Something that's very hidden. Like it just shows how everyone, the most happy-go-lucky, smiling all the time person, has a dark side to them that we're not aware of.
Right.
And it's very subtle, and it manifests in our desires. So since you're the only person that's with you 24/7, so you see these desires, you see these things that are tempting, that pull you in this kind of quote unquote negative direction.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely not, it's definitely not obvious. They always say the moon is the more subtle side of a person, so to have this be the dark side of the moon, that means it's subtle. So like it's really, I would say it's really hard to pick up. You never know whose Lilith is and what. You'd be like, what? Your Lilith isn't that? Like, okay. And it, that's the thing that speaks to them. It pulls them in, is their vice. It's like that enticing, seductive woman,
And for men, how does Lilith play out? Is that also like their dark goddess energy? Because I've also read and learned that for men, Lilith is like the woman that they would be really attracted to, but maybe she would also not be the best like energy for him, because maybe it might be even a little crippling for men. So would you say that that's true to a degree?
Yeah, that's definitely true. That's definitely one aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, naturally, I think it just goes, you know, for whatever your orientation is, but just that sexual affinity to whatever is a certain theme to it. So, you know, for a man, I think since a woman's already alluring, is the type of woman. So, you know, I guess you could kind of figure out who you could kind of find out their Lilith through maybe some bad relationships they've been through. If you see a certain pattern in women that they like, or you know, it could be
Right.
in any tall women, because, or it could be short women because they're tall and it feeds their ego. Like you never know. It's like so many layers to it.
Right.
But yeah, that's definitely one aspect of it. And I think that's one aspect of it. And I think it's just how I think the more universal aspect is just that what pulls you in that same way, in that almost sexual way, even if it's not actually sexual, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just that, you know, the only word I can think of is like alluring. It's seductive. Like other things can seduct you besides you know, a sexual part or a potential sexual partner. It could be a car, but
Right.
it could be food. It could be traveling. It could be a lot of things. It could be a certain status.
Mm.
It could be a myriad of things. But what I've come to understand just with astrology in general and natal charts in particular is like what you are manifests outwardly. So you're going to see those things that really are a reflection of you, you know, and Lilith is just a strong aspect of that, you know.
Mm.
It might manifest in women, but it's also going to manifest in areas where you're going to see the commonalities maybe in that woman and in those other things. It's like, what are they bringing? What are they offering to you? What are they promising to you? You know?
Awesome. All right. So I think that's a really great grasp on Lilith for those who may not be familiar with Lilith. And so now let's get into the shift that we're undergoing, which is Lilith has moved from Sagittarius to Capricorn. And I actually
Mm-hmm.
do feel like I feel this shift because at first I was like, wait, well, Saturn is going to be in Capricorn in about a month, but I'm already
Yes.
feeling a lot of strong Capricorn energy. And then I went back and looked at the chart and I realized that Lilith was there. And I was like, well, maybe it's just something inside of me that is shifting towards like this very ambitious nature
Mm-hmm.
and kind of overtaking me. So, could you explain what that shift is that we're feeling? And it's probably, like you said, because Lilith is internal, happening to us more probably on the inside secretive space right now, which is Lilith shifts from Sagittarius to Capricorn.
Yeah. Really? Now they putting on like Disney music. Forgive the music. I'm gonna try to talk a little louder. How, you can hear me okay?
I can still hear you great. Yeah.
All right, cool. So, Lilith and Capricorn. Um, First I'll describe it, then I'll talk about my experience because it's in my seventh house,
Okay.
which is, you know, very interesting. But it's I'd say that traditional, you know, Capricorn is known for status and be seen and held to a certain regard. I think that's a very strong part of it. I think aspect it could be just more egotistical. It can make us feel like we're better than people, like we're higher, like we're here and people are down here, and these are these almost like lowly servants, or have like almost a god complex, you know, and you know, maybe be even a little more cutthroat and just try to. I think the idea of um, doing anything to get what you want at any cost might be something that's attractive in this transit. Something that is like, you know, and you might not know why. I think, you know, it's going to speak to every person in a different way, you know, depending on the house. Just sun could be in Capricorn, whatever. You know, something's conjuncting, something can be opposing. But I think overall, this is the energy that we're trying to harmonize with. Um, yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I think is very important to know where it is in your chart, so you can just be a little more aware of how it might be affecting you.
Okay, so for those who have Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars when Lilith conjuncts your chart, and you would want to look at, if you know how to look for it, you'd want to look and see what degree you are at, and then you will look at the glyph of Lilith and see when Lilith conjuncts your planet. So for those, could we get like a brief rundown for those who would have Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, and Venus in their chart? So those personal planets would have to be in Capricorn, of course.
Yeah.
What that might be, like maybe just like a one-liner for each planet.
So sun being your, they say the ego, but really for me it's like your foundation. Like I always use an analogy with the sun of like describing a chair or a table. We've seen millions of tables in our lives, millions of chairs in our lives, but each one has a different style to it, but there's a certain basic structure to it. So where as soon as you look at it, you go, oh, that's a chair. So that's how I describe the sun. I think with Capricorn suns, I think it might be something different for them, but I feel like it's almost already familiar because that's what you are. You are a Capricorn. Right. It might be something in your mood that might, I don't know, maybe feeling yourself too much, whatever. Like it can, can have that effect, I would imagine. But I think, again, the biggest thing is just knowing it, being aware of it, and then trying to align yourself with it, because the universe is like giving you hints, Moon, I think the same goes emotionally. I think the moon might be a little more tricky because it's a little more, at times, a little more difficult to master your emotions.
Right.
I think certain things might come over you emotionally that it might be habits that you've hidden coming out to light, almost like, you're just doing something that some people might look at as abnormal, but it's still like a subtle part of you, I think even with sun, even, the sun illuminates, I think it might actually have a similar effect where it's just like, but I think it might be more of an obvious effect. It might be how you come off to people. Right. It might just be like, you might not even be doing anything, and somebody's just like, man, you're a little too cocky right now. And you're just like, I ain't doing nothing. Like, moon, I think, is a little more, it might be some emotional outbursts or something that drives you to kind of do these, to use this Capricorn energy in a negative way. Because that's another way I try to describe Lilith. Is like, for me, is like the worst possible way a sign can be. The most negative aspects of the sign will come out in Lilith. Like, because it's just, it's loose, it's unadulterated, it's no control per se. It's just raw. I want to do this, bomb. So if it's in Capricorn, whatever are the really dark, ugly sides of Capricorn, I feel like are really gonna manifest. So when you got the sun or you got the moon, especially, whereas your emotions, I think, is really gonna be a lot of floodgates of like negative Capricornian behavior. Mercury, I would say, might be a little more internal because it's, it's your head, is your thoughts, but they do manifest through speech. So might be certain things you say might be a little more condescending. Right. Might be a little more of a kiss ass. Depending on who you perceive as being higher. Right. Because Capricorn is all about climbing that social ladder, that that proverbial mountain. So I think it's whoever you perceive as being of a certain status that you're trying to obtain, that's something that you admire and that you aspire to be. I think it can definitely warp your perception of that said person, or also, like I said before, even people quote unquote below you, or the people that you perceive to be below you. You might not know the beauty and you might miss out on the positive and beautiful parts of these people because you're just stuck on some kind of status of, oh, they don't do what I do or whatever.
Like acting real bougie.
Yeah.
And comprehending and weighing people off based off of their material status or what you gain as that, right?
Exactly. Yeah, no bouginess. Try to fight it. We don't need that in the world.
Well, Venus, would Venus be similar too with like, or I guess that could also manifest with relationships, but
Absolutely. Yeah. Maybe even like choosing partners based off of that.
right.
You
Or
know,
like dating
and
your boss or being or like maybe wanting to be in a relationship with somebody who's already, you know,
already established. Yeah.
exactly, like already
Yeah.
established.
Somebody, oh, if I get in good with this person, they can put me here, and not and just seeing that, you're not seeing the other aspects that could be dangerous to you,
Right.
because that's what Lilith does. It looks so good. It's like being a vegan for 3 months, and somebody's like, yo, I just bought like 2 Big Macs, you want one? You're just like, no, it's just the secret sauce, it just tastes so good.
Right.
And you bite into it, then next moment you're on the floor curdled up because messed up your stomach. So like
Right.
that's what Lilith does.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with Venus, I feel like it can, if it's conjuncting your Venus, it could definitely put you in bad situations that if you just had a little more foresight, you would have seen. If you would have looked at it for what it really is and not just filtering out everything and just looking at what you're trying to like obtain.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think that's the dangers of it. Mars, reflecting sexuality. I think it might be. I mean, obviously Venus and Mars have some correlation, in relationships. But I think also, sexually, you might be doing the same thing. You know, I think what's tricky about Mars is that it it's your primal nature. So it's not something that's very conscious. It's not as out there as Mercury in Capricorn. I think it's your instincts. So your instincts could just be telling you to do the wrong things, putting you in the wrong direction. You might be with a bunch of these high business people, and hey, you want to do a line, and you know,
Right.
no, don't. You know what I mean? And you do it anyway, just because of the impulse, and yeah, why not? And you know, that's just one example, but there's many other things that can pull you or draw you or pull out your instincts,
Right.
and just put you in a place that you're not supposed to be in.
Right. Well, that's. I mean, just that alone gives a good idea of how strong that nature is, and it's like coming from this deep, almost like dark place. And
Mm-hmm.
for Capricorn, I feel like it's everything that you said about being around elite people or having standards or that are higher in your head, at least perceived as quote unquote higher, right? Or being more condescending to a degree. So we talked about the personal planets for people, and so for those who have those planets in Capricorn, that gives you an idea of how Lilith might even overcome you to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
So could we go now through the houses? So this would be you want to look at your chart and you want to look at your house cusp, and if your house is like for instance in the second house and it has Capricorn, that's how we're going to do it.
Okay.
So let's go straight for Capricorn rising first, and then let's go through the houses and give an idea of how Lilith might be, working her dark goddess magic through that way for everyone. So everyone can feel that this energy is definitely.
Froze.
Oh, I froze?
There we go.
You got me? Hello? Am I here?
You're freezing.
I'm
I'm not
freezing?
sure it's a
Okay.
connection on your end or not.
Okay.
You got it?
Well, go ahead and
Yeah, yeah.
start with the Capricorn rising.
Capricorn rising.
That's right.
Capricorn rising. I think maybe a little more conscious of your appearance. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but just maybe almost like being too obsessed with the veneer, with, you know, the outer shell, and how you come off to people, maybe, you know, being a little more pretentious and just like, you know, phony. I think that might be aspects of it that you know, might, you know, manifest. Trying to think what else. Yeah, just, you know, just putting too much emphasis on how you're coming off to people, on because I mean, it's a balance. It's important too. You know, you don't want to look like a bum, but you know, having confidence that there's more to you than just meets the eye is very important. I think just in life in general. So not like too obsessive over, you know, appearing a certain way so that people like you, and having that, you know, drive you, like being recognized in that way, you know, because you got the new pair of Jordans, or, you know, Gucci or Louis Vuitton. Like, that's not what makes you, you know. It's nice to have it, you know, but the internal is the most important. And then when you do have those things, it shines even brighter than opposed to just that superficial, you know, person with no substance to them, and you know, you're just, you know, there's nothing else. Once they get past the veneer, there's nothing there. You don't want that.
Right.
So, that's how I see the first house. Let's see. Second house. Second house, I'm a little more familiar with because my natal Lilith is in my second house.
Woo.
So I just say just be very conscious of your wallet. You know, like I've had those experiences where I'm just like, I gotta get, and you know, you get it. My thing is not even like clothes and shit. It's food.
Right.
Like,
because it's still Venus. It's a Venus house. So it's similar to Venus, right?
Exactly. So like, I pass by a good restaurant, or I have a taste for something, I'm just like, look at my bank account, I'm just like, I could squeeze it. Knowing I can't, I'm just like, I could live off for $5 for the rest of the week. You do it, and it's like, no, stupid. Why would you? So I think Lilith and Capricorn in the second house might have a similar effect. I think maybe it was driving it is more so, again, status, appearing a certain way. So, you know, kind of the same thing as the first house as far as appearances, but more it's affecting you financially. You know, you just, you know, buying this suit or buying this dress, this outfit or whatever that you know you can't afford, but you know your boss might, you know, keep a little eye. Oh, that was cool. Oh, my boss gave me a compliment. You know, that kind of thing. But you can't let it cloud your judgment financially. And then just also worth. Again, I think it's a common theme. I think because of the Capricornian nature of dealing with the material world, not like Taurus, but similar. I think there's gonna be a constant theme of worth, of your worth, of how you perceive, of what you perceive as being held to a high regard, you know. So when you have Lilith kind of clouding that judgment, again, bad decisions could be made. You know, your worth is really a very strong foundation for a lot of what you do. You know, a lot of what you're willing to accept.
Right.
A lot of what you're, you know, willing to do.
So would you say that it's like overconfidence, or could it be almost the opposite, and it's like maybe a very low confidence, but using the money to mask it to some degree?
Yeah, I
think it could play out differently.
Yeah, I think it could play out different. I think, you know, based on a person's, you know, other aspects, it might play out differently. But I think there's definitely, I think it definitely could be the latter. I think it could definitely be a person who is just trying too much to prove their worth in a way that's not really of any substance. Right. And, you know, it ends up being their downfall.
Right. Good stuff. All right, Capricorn on the third house.
Third house. I think this is an interesting house just because hold on, I want to try to share the link on my Facebook too.
Okay.
I mean, dealing with communication, I think it could have it could cloud a lot of stuff. I mean, it could be good and bad because there's so many forms of communication in this, you know, day and age. You know, you got the internet, you got emails, you got social media, one-on-one communication. You know,
Right.
I think. Hold on, I'm bad at multitasking. Forgive me.
It's all right.
Trying to. Let's see what happens if I just post a link. 1 second. Just trying to write something real quick. I'm gonna do it periodically. I don't want to keep people waiting if they're watching.
Okay, cool.
So
I actually have a better link for you too, so I'm gonna message that for you, which gives you directly to the live.
Awesome. It in the third house, yes. I think, yeah, communication. Maybe almost. Maybe I was putting up a facade like this as far as what the world can see, and also like as far as the communication aspect. Yeah, I think like this, you know, it is like communication is a different thing than it was, you know, 30 years ago. So I think, you know, maybe people with Lilith and Capricorn in the third house, they might be more inclined. This might be the time where they're, you know, kind of posting more stuff on social media, like just trying to show themselves, show off a little more. Right. And again, I think if it's balanced, I think it could work to your advantage, because it's like, the thing about any transit, it's happening whether you like it or not. So it's not about just like pushing it away, like, no, like, because you can't. It's something that exists. So you have to learn how to work in harmony with it. So I think as long as you kind of do this in a more balanced way, it could work to your advantage. But I think just seeing, maybe even to certain levels, seeing other people kind of doing their thing could kind of fuck with you, you know. Just like, oh, you see this person in Instagram is popping, but you're not understanding the work that went into it. You know, and there's like a lot of I think there's an aspect of humility that needs to be like understood with Lilith in general, but when I'm talking about the with the third house, it's just like how not necessarily how the world sees you, but just how you connect and communicate with the world is a little different. So it's going to be how people are talking to you and interacting with you, not taking it as competition all the time, right? You know, not you know, I'm better than you, you're better than me. Like, it's not that, right. You know, we're all on our individual paths, and it's very important to kind of understand like what makes us unique. And how we all have something to offer each other as far as how we connect with each other, communicate, and what we present. You know, even with us, you do astrology, I do astrology. You present in a way that's completely different, that is beautiful than I do, and there's a beauty in both for the ways that we do it. Right. And instead of you know, being combative and, you know, almost trying to sabotage or whatever, it's like you can work in harmony with it. This person can actually help elevate you. We can help elevate each other, you know? Right.
Combining your comprehension and knowledge.
Right.
But in its most negative form, it might, because like you said, the Capricorn is kind of like that God-like energy. It can almost feel like this person, you know, in its more negative expression, it could feel like, you know, I'm the know-it-all kind of idea. And also, I totally agree with you with the like looking at other people's social media, because I had Saturn go through here, so I kind of felt that to a familiar degree, and looking at other social medias fluctuate and then being like, all right, well, you know, what do I have to do to get my social media up? And it almost feels a little you know, fake, because is that the real you, or is that the you that you're presenting, you know, online and through communications? And I feel like with Lilith here and that dark goddess energy, it could be like, I'm gonna like rent out a car just to, you know, take a picture, or I'm gonna, you know, show off the certain kind of status of mine that might not necessarily be true, but I'm trying to be you know, be everything online, basically. So yeah, I just wanted to support you on all of that because I really think that that's very profound for the third house energy. And
Yeah.
because the third house is um, local transportation, so like a car would be like one of the you know, expressions that would be used to show yourself off.
Yeah. I like that. Um, fourth house,
Fourth house.
foundation, your soul, what resonates with you on that deeper level. Familiar house. I think it might, I don't know, I feel like it might uproot some, it might have uproot some like upheaval in the family.
Uh-huh.
It could almost be like because like the first thing that came to mind like a few seconds ago is like how, you know, Capricorn is ruled over Saturn. Saturn is the father.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be certain, not necessarily tension, but I think it might be almost revealing, or, you know, might give some insight or clarity to maybe even relationships with your father or some kind of paternal figure, or
Right.
somebody that you kind of hold to that regard, you know. Um, Maybe trying to be like them, maybe being in competition with them, maybe always feeling like you've been on competition with them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, always feeling like you have to live up to something that
Mm-hmm.
you might not necessarily have to, but you might have always felt that way, you know, especially like maybe if your sun is in that house too, or your Venus, like, you know, I think it's yeah, I think that it could be kind of issues there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's about, I feel like it's about well, really getting to the root of the problem. If something is revealing itself in that way, is just getting to the root of it, and again, not comparing yourself. I think that could be kind of a Capricornian trait in the sense of like when you see that mountaintop, that status that you're trying to reach. I think you look at people that are there, and you kind of look at it might fit a certain archetype. It might be a certain group of characteristics that fit under that said thing that you're trying to obtain. So you feel like the only way to get there is if I'm that thing. So let's say there's some, you know, strange opposition going on and you're naturally not that, but you're still striving so hard to be that. I think now is the time to kind of be at peace with not being that and trying to find another way to get there, as opposed to like, you know, just this fighting a battle you're never really gonna win because you're not honest about what it is, you know.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, this is my natal position, so everything rings very true.
yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah, it's definitely both the parents. I feel like because Capricorn is like the father, and then the fourth house can also be the mother. So I feel like they
Mm-hmm.
both are very strong, you know, in my life. And yeah, there's like a standard that you're of success that is placed on you. And I think that yeah, that Lilith energy is like, all right, well, I gotta do this. Like I gotta get moving. I've gotta be what my parents have expected me to be. You know, so that, at least for me, that's how it's kind of playing itself out.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Fifth house. That's where it gets interesting. Fifth house is
Yeah.
always interesting. Um, fifth house. I feel like the fifth house is almost similar to the second house in the sense of like some kind of external thing. I think the main theme here is pleasure. Just things that, you know, make you feel good, or things that you know, you might. It's a very expressive house, so it's just things you want to make manifest. Things that you naturally make, I guess, manifest into the real world. Um, so like here's this, I feel like you know, I think if anybody's been listening, I think the common theme is going to be certain the keywords you're going to keep hearing is like comparison.
Hmm.
Um, so in this case, I think in your creativity and in your how you express your will, how you make things manifest, very similar to Mars and Capricorn. Um, yeah, I think, you know, there might be certain people that
Hello. Okay, so we got a little frozen on the side. 1 second, folks. Let me just I'm just gonna message him.